Jon Stewart is back, ladies and gentlemen. He will be hosting The Daily Show on Mondays throughout the election. I wish Jon Stewart the best of luck. However, in my opinion, I think he has lost us. I don't know how many people are still ready and waiting to watch The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, but I can tell you that I was a loyal Daily Show viewer. That's what I did. Loved The Daily Show, loved Jon Stewart. And now he's lost us. I don't see it happening. He did his weird white privilege thing on Apple. He's tried to endear himself to the woke left without realizing it's actually people like you and I who used to be the loyal viewers of Jon Stewart. Well, here's a story from NBC News. Longtime viewers of The Daily Show will soon see a familiar face back in the hosting chair. Jon Stewart, who hosted the show from 96 to 2015, will return to the program, NBC News has confirmed. The news comes after more than a year of uncertainty in the search to replace Trevor Noah, who just took home an Emmy for Best Variety Talk Series. The comedian exited in 2022 after hosting for 7 years. He had taken over from Jon Stewart. Stewart will host Monday nights through the 2024 election, as well as executive produce the late night show this year and next, according to a news release from Comedy Central. On days Stewart is not hosting, The Daily Show will continue to rely on a team of rotating correspondents. Boy, oh boy! Yeah, it's sad. It really is. Let me tell you about the good old days, where I come from, and where I think many of you come from. First, I assume many of you watching a show like this are probably conservatives, Trump supporters, and have been for a very long time. There are many comments from people who say, Tim fell off the fence. Oh boy. Yeah, because I was saying things like these CBP agents who are engaged in criminal activity should be arrested, right? Or that we have a right to keep and bear arms. Tim fell off the fence. On a handful of things, fair point. But many of you, and I know this is true, the overwhelming majority, most likely, probably used to watch The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, Real Time with Bill Maher. Why? Well, here's the sad reality for me as a businessman. I know that if I were to choose staunch left or staunch right, our audience would be much bigger. The core conservative audience is much, much larger, and the core liberal audience is much, much larger than the milquetoast, middle of the road approach. Now, of course, some people have said, like I mentioned, Tim has fallen off the fence, and here I am saying, enforce the law and things like that. But still, the diehard Trump supporters, they rag on me all the time. And our largest demographic seems to be disaffected liberals, Midwestern right-leaning types, people who used to be Democrats. And we've done surveys on this. Nothing actually recent enough, but, a little bit. We did a couple years ago, a couple surveys, and found the largest faction was disaffected liberals, followed by conservative Trump supporters, and then libertarians. Something like that. It's been so long, I'm probably mixing this up. But I used to watch The Daily Show with Jon Stewart and Colbert afterwards. And it was fun and funny. And Jon Stewart did good work. He did. Now, I also think he's deserving of a lot of criticism. Jon Stewart created this comedy politics thing. It made politics funny and fun and approachable in a way that had not been before. I think it was good. It helped me and many of my friends be involved in politics. I got involved in politics because of punk rock music, for the most part. More so the internet, probably. But growing up skateboarding with a bunch of punks, and they're like, listen to this, and then you hear these songs, you're like, oh, this is interesting. But then I'm seeing things, when I would go on the internet and news, and I'd wonder about these things, and it makes me interested. I actually got a bunch of my younger friends when we were skating, a couple years younger, to watch The Daily Show and Colbert and get involved in politics. And Jon Stewart is deserving of some criticism because after he leaves, they take this cookie cutter formula and create people like John Oliver. The guy lies all the time. Many of the people on The Daily Show just lie. Let me tell you about how things used to be. Jon Stewart praised James O'Keefe on more than one occasion. You may be asking, how is this possible? I can't believe that. He did. I didn't know much about James O'Keefe back in the day, but Jon Stewart praised him, saying, where are our journalists breaking these big stories about like Acorn? And you got this kid over here doing the work. It was amazing. Now Jon Stewart is just pandering. In his hiatus, he retained some of his independent thinking. He came out and talked with Stephen Colbert about the origins of COVID, believing that COVID was likely made through gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab. And Colbert pushed back and said, no, 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 no. And Jon Stewart was like, you have the Wuhan Coronavirus Institute across the street from where they say the virus comes from. And Jon Stewart was correct. But then he ended up doing his weird white privilege thing. I do not believe Jon Stewart will bring back to his show the essence of what made his show popular and prominent among people like me. I go back to Chicago, and what do I find? You know where I think my politics lies? I'm from Chicago. I grew up in an urban liberal area, very liberal, but I saw the Democrats as being just overly corrupt. Now, we don't have Republicans, so there's no Republican for me to rag on. All the politicians are Democrats. So I'm just like, the system is broke, the Democrats are bad. I enter national politics and the national stage during like Occupy Wall Street. Once again, Republicans aren't playing a role in the outrage that we young people are experiencing over the collapse in the housing market and the economy, what that meant. Let me tell you a story. During the crisis, the housing market collapse, the Great Recession, I was a young man looking for work, and I was trying to take whatever I could get. I thought maybe I'll just wash dishes at a diner. I found an ad on Craigslist, minimum wage job, washing dishes. And I said, I can do this. It'll make me enough money on the side. I'm couch surfing. I need a couple $100 a month. It was only like 3 hours a day, but I will take what I can get. I walk in to the diner and I've got my little resume and I'm wearing jeans and a button up just like this, to be honest with you. I'm waiting behind another man who's wearing a suit with a briefcase, who looks like he's 30. I think, what was I, 20? I was 22, 21 or 22. And I hear the guy in front of me with the briefcase say, I'm looking for a job. Here's my resume. I hear you have some openings. And they say, oh, this looks great. Absolutely. We are looking for someone who can start right away. And I just thought to myself, holy crap. I turned around and walked out. For two reasons. One, ignorantly, I assumed there's no way I'm competing with that guy. They're going to hire him in 2 seconds, not me. Well, experience, wisdom. They don't want to hire someone overqualified. So when this 30-year-old looking guy walks in a suit and says, I want to wash dishes, they go, are you nuts? You'll quit in 2 weeks. And they probably were looking for somebody more like me. Young guy, just needs a couple bucks. The other thing I was feeling was like, this guy needs this job. I was like, dude, I'll go play guitar in the subway, man. That's what I did. That was what I went through. So things like that. Occupy Wall Street kicks off and we are all anti-establishment. It had nothing to do with Republicans to me and to any of my friends. It was all the same machine. Barack Obama was the president. So when we protest, when Occupy Wall Street kicks off, it is not about Republican bad or Democrat bad even. It was just, they're all the same, the uniparty. So I like the shows like the Daily Show, when they could praise someone like James O'Keefe. It wasn't about whether he was right or left. But now, James O'Keefe, what does Mark Cuban say? Mark Cuban accuses James of lying. James just publishes video, dude. See, I still don't really care all that much about Republican versus Democrat. There are a handful of good Republicans, and like Ro Khanna is a pretty good guy on the Democrat side. Republicans are mostly bad. Democrats are mostly bad, still to this day. But in our efforts, we've been able to get some good people into the Republican Party. Rand Paul, Ron Paul, these have been great guys. There's always been a little bit. Jon Stewart, I felt when I was younger, represented that middle of the road populist, the machine is busted. Today, Jon Stewart comes off mostly as representing establishment interests. So with this, they announce he returns. The ship has sailed, my friend. The torch has been passed. There are those of us who want to be honest and reasonable when it comes to politics. And there are those that would lick the boots of the machine. So where are we today? Is Tim Pool a biased actor in much the same way he criticizes Jon Stewart? The answer is no, I'm not. I have my biases. But my point about Jon Stewart and the rest of his ilk that he created is that they will lie to you for the sake of their side. I won't do that. I'll tell you this. Donald Trump wanted to host the G7 at Trump Doral in Miami. And I was very critical of that, saying it provides him with benefit. Trump argued it'll be cheaper for the government if we do it this way. And my response is, you're using government funds to cover the costs of your establishment, whether profitable or not. You're still taking money as a conflict of interest. The State Department, apparently, had been advertising Trump properties. Yeah, not a good thing. I will criticize Donald Trump for that. I recognize that if I went Trump can do no wrong, probably get a lot more viewers. I don't care. I used to watch Real Time. I used to watch Daily Show, and it mattered to me that they tried to be reasonable, or at least that was the perception. Now, Bill Maher, he's doing better, but the guy's got Trump derangement syndrome. There are a lot of people who have Trump derangement syndrome. I don't care for it. People who argue, Trump on COVID, for instance. He locked us down. He did bad thing. This, I will not. Nobody knew what was going on. Conservatives said wear masks in the early days. Fauci came out and said don't wear a mask. Then it flipped for some reason. I don't know why. All of a sudden, conservatives are like, don't wear masks. They're dirty. They're filthy. I don't play that game. I'm not going to play that game. Donald Trump made mistakes early on. He did what he did. He hired bad people. We eventually learned these people were really, really bad. More documents and data came out about gain of function research, who Fauci had been funding. And now we say Fauci should be in jail. Hindsight is 2020. And so many people want to come out and blame Donald Trump for everything when there were conservatives on board with all of this. Spare me. Trump is not perfect and did a lot of bad things. I will not condemn the best president we've had over this mistake, which was big in a lot of ways. I could not see the future, nor could he. But we learn from those mistakes. The question is, do you solve for them and do better? That's it. But there's a lot of Trump derangement syndrome out there. And now you have, what's really funny is Joy Reid defending adult books for children. But on Twitter, they couldn't even say the word. No, I kid you not. Joy Reid tweeted something out about the show, and they had to censor the word they want children to see. I'm going to stress that. Joy Reid's show tweeted something out saying this censored, they said censored, should be available for children. And you're like, wait. I don't even know what you're saying kids should have because you think it's so shocking and egregious. You won't even tell me because it's like a shocking thing to say. Remarkable, isn't it? I say this, man. Good luck, Jon Stewart. I hope he goes back to his roots. I hope he is fair and honest, but I doubt he will be. We will see. Next segment is coming up at 8 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.